there was a plan to end SG1 at season 7 and give us cinematic movies instead, would that have been a better idea? Welcome to Sidetrack, your sci-fi TV and movie channel.
Yes, by the way, he's insane.
So Robert C. Cooper was recently chatting away and talking about the original plans for the end of SG1. Richard Dean Anderson was already talking about how he'd kind of had enough of O'Neill and he wanted to move on. He wanted to spend more time with his family. He wanted to do more charity work.
When do you leave?
Now.
Good luck.
You too.
And ending after 7 seasons was really the mark of a very successful show. All of the Star Trek shows ended at 7 seasons. It was kind of tradition. They also wanted to follow in the footsteps of Star Trek The Next Generation and take themselves into the cinema. I have to ask, would that have been a better idea than what we then end up getting? Now, don't get me wrong, I personally loved seasons 8, 9, and 10 of SG1. But I know a lot of you who didn't.
No! You can't take away my power!
A lot of you considered the Ori adventures to be a little, well, silly. And running SG1 and SGA together at the same time was maybe a little bit too much. So what would have happened if Robert C. Cooper and Brad Wright had got their original plan and actually got the cinematic movie following season 7? So what was the original plan? I should say that they actually pitched this to MGM and then the Sci-Fi Network as originally a movie. The episode Lost City was actually going to be the first cinematic movie. The whole battle with Anubis and the discovery of Atlantis was going to be that movie, and it would have been epic. The Atlantis was originally actually going to be on Earth. The end of the movie was going to show this amazing dramatic scene where the Atlantis came up through the ice, which would have been very, very cool. The episode Full Circle, where Anubis really showed his full power for the first time, was going to be how season 7 ended. Now, that would have been a hell of an ending to the series. And I would say as well that the then movie that would have followed would have been, I think, really, really popular. Remembering this was at the height of Stargate's power.
I was hoping for another day. It looks like we just got a whole lot more than that. Let's not waste it.
So why didn't it happen? Well, I've spoken to somebody that works over at MGM. He says it did basically come down to 2 things. Money. MGM didn't really have the money to spend on a big theatrical release at the time. But also, Sci-Fi wanted both series. Bonnie Hammer was the president of the Sci-Fi Network at the time. And Robert Cooper and Brad Wright have both said that actually they were in a meeting with her and it was her that actually said, we're going to do both. We're going to have both series at the same time on the Sci-Fi Network. That's not what they'd heard before at that point, and it's not what they were planning. So they really were quite surprised. But that was what the plan was, so that's what they went with. Now, I have to admit, I think they missed an opportunity there. If MGM really had pulled the trigger and allowed SG1 to go onto the big screen, I do think it would have given them a lot of credibility that maybe they ended up lacking. I do think Stargate sort of started to fizzle out a little bit towards the end of Stargate Atlantis. And maybe the movies and the prestige that would have come with having big cinematic releases would have given them just that little bit more of a push to keep going. But also, wouldn't it have been cool to see Richard Dean Anderson, Amanda Tapping, Michael Shanks, Christopher Judge up on the big screen?
Hey. Wow, what the hell are you doing here?
Nice to see you, too.
No, sorry. I just wasn't expecting to see you.
And I think we've missed out a little bit as Gators. Now, I understand why they went with the television series, but I do feel that they sort of prolonged SG1 maybe a little bit longer than they should have. As I say, I loved the Ori series. I loved those episodes. I actually really loved the way SG1 ended. But by the end of SG1, they were fighting gods. They were battling ascended beings. Those last 3 seasons have actually made it quite hard for Stargate to return. There are a lot of big questions about where the SGC is now that the new movie, new series, etc. have got to answer. In some ways, if it had ended at season 7, and then we'd have maybe got a couple of cinematic movies and really would have allowed Stargate to make that next step, to give it that extra credibility, to give it a slightly bigger stage, then I actually think the return of Stargate would have been a lot easier.
I hate it here.
How's that possible?
It's true.
Look, they gave you everything you wanted. Your own lab,
Yeah, it's too big.
well, hand-picked assistants,
Yeah, sycophants, every one of them.
even your own choice of projects.
Well, that's not true.
Well, other than going back to Atlantis, I mean.
And actually, if the Stargate franchise had gone to the cinema and had been successful, maybe that would have given MGM and the Sci-Fi Network and other networks that then jumped in a little bit more confidence to push Stargate Atlantis on.
Oh, so this is where everyone went, huh?
You okay?
I'm alive. And I've got you. What else would I need?
Nice view.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Maybe then we could have got a couple more seasons of Stargate Atlantis that would have maybe then put a little less pressure on SGU, and we could have ended up getting 7 seasons of that. Just maybe, if they'd have gone that way, Stargate wouldn't have ended at all. Maybe it could have kept going. Maybe we could have got other series, other movies. But sadly, it didn't happen. And after the 2nd season of SGU, obviously, it ended. But what could we have had? Guys, get into the comments and tell me what you think. If they'd have gone with the original plan and given us that movie and then ended SG1 at season 7, do you think it would have been better as a whole for the franchise? Because sometimes less is more. Or do you actually think, look, it happened as it happened. Okay, Robert C. Cooper and Brad Wright had that idea, but it's not what we wanted at the time. Then, okay, fair enough. But tell me why. Why do you think it was better? Because I'm not so sure. Get into the comments and tell me exactly what you think. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out. And, follow all these links that have been scrolling across the bottom here. They're all in the description as well, particularly the patreon.com/SciTrek, where you get to see most of our new videos first. So please give that a look. As always, please stay safe, and I'll see you next time.